morning. Welcome to TERRA at Home. We're at the Waterdown location here today. I'm here with Colleen Zimmerman from TERRA, and we are slowly, we don't want to talk about it quite yet, but we are slowly moving in towards late summer, fall, and we still want to have a beautiful garden. We want to have color around us, so this brings us to you and some ideas and examples of what we should have in our gardens for that.
Yes, after the hot summer that we've been getting lately, it's nice to know that there's lots of color available for a fall garden or late summer garden. We'll call it that.
Yes. Ooh, hanging on to it with all our might.
Yes.
And it has been such a hot summer, right? And I mean, it's been good. That's what we kind of, in Southern Ontario, that's what we want. But it definitely takes a toll on your plant life, that's for sure.
It does.
And some things just eventually, some of those annuals you have, you know.
Yeah, they look a little tired, so freshening up is in order. So we have the typical things like your ornamental grasses and the cone flowers, which are very popular, but we do have some new varieties of coneflowers out now. We used to call them purple coneflowers, but they're not purple anymore.
Ah, that's what I love. It's an ever-changing world.
Yes, we have these ones here. They're called Harvest Moon.
Oh, those are gorgeous.
And then we also have another one that this one's actually called Now Cheesier. So they've had some fun with the names.
The names. I guess there are so many plants, you just start to run out of names.
Yeah, I think they just, sit back and like, that sounds good.
I love it.
And then this other one here where you get just the really deep, rich color, it's almost red, is called Solar Flare.
That's beautiful. And this is the kind of stuff that people love. Once, I mean, I love summer, but fall is such a great time of year. And again, it starts to, those cooler nights and you look outside and those are the colors people start to gravitate towards in the fall, right? Those warm autumn-like colors, the oranges and reds and golds and it is going to feel good eventually to us.
Oh, definitely. Yeah. And then going in that same strain, Black-Eyed Susan, ever popular.
Yes.
But a new variety for those of us who have smaller gardens or less maintenance required, this is called Little Gold Star. Oh. So it's just like your typical Black-Eyed Susan, but smaller.
Oh, I love that.
So smaller flowers, smaller plants, much more compact. So it's great.
Again, which is perfect. We've been talking a lot about the fact that some people have the most miniature little gardens now because of the lack of space and smaller properties or even condos, and people try to create that space on their patio. And so you should, right? I mean, if you don't have a backyard or even a front yard, create that on your patio. Create your own little area, your little haven, right?
Yes, yeah. And then going for also texture, because it doesn't always have to come from the flower color. It can also come from leaf color and the texture as well. So just some different varieties of hostas here. This one here is called Cherry Berry.
Oh,
because it's got a nice red stem for when the flower comes up. So usually hostas, you don't really think of the flowers as being very pretty.
No.
But with that extra contrast, and that gives you a little bit of interest there. As well as this one here called Fire Island. It's got chartreuse colored leaves, but then it's got red stems to go with it. So it's really nice that way too. And all of these plants, especially the hostas and the more smaller plants, they can go in containers as well. So they work really well in small plantings.
Which is nice, right? You could create, some people, that's all they have is just that one container. And even if you just got one big planter, and you could stick all these and getting all those textures and colors just from, as you say, from leaves.
Exactly. And then with the leaves too, we have like the various coral bells.
Yeah,
this
the
one here is caramel,
great.
so it's got like a cool color to it.
That's cool, yeah.
And if you want to go really simple in a planter container, all you have to do is just put like an ornamental grass. So this is a variegated ornamental grass.
And that's another thing I find, obviously that's nice in the summer too, but the grasses, there's something about the grasses in the fall. It does, and it's simple and sometimes a little more modern. Some people like that look, right? Very simple container and just grasses, and it creates a very clean look, easy to maintain.
Yes, definitely.
Right?
Yeah, the grasses really come to fruition in the fall because they are full size, they start to get their plumes, and they just look fabulous.
Yeah, I really like that. And again, you're starting to get those fall winds, so you get some movement, and I love that. I love seeing like a garden actually moving and flowing. It feels good, right?
And you get some sound out of it too. So if there are any traffic noises that you want to disguise, or neighbors' children, if you have some grasses in your garden, then
it's really loud, these kids next door, lots of grass.
Yeah, it just gives you that really calming sound
you can create
too.
A barrier actually, and they can't even get through it. We got all kinds of ideas for you. Well, okay, I love the grasses, so that's cool. That's great.
So also to keep in mind, with the grasses, that gives you some height, but other things that give you height too are the hydrangea standards. So we have two on set today. The one behind me is the limelight hydrangea.
Nice.
And the one behind you is called Pinky Winky.
Okay, very cool.
So both of them come out relatively white. The limelight comes out with chartreuse green, and then as they mature, they kind of go from the green to the white to the pink to kind of the russet color, and then they'll dry right on the plant. So they transform throughout the season.
Really? Oh, I love that.
Yeah,
I love
great.
hydrangeas, and I know the hydrangeas have had a bit of a tough season this summer because it's been so hot. But they definitely would, I think, excel in the fall when you're getting those cooler temperatures
Definitely.
and a little bit more rain.
Yes,
Which we've been
yeah.
lacking. But that, again, beautiful plant. Something that's really, again, you can grow quite large, or you can kind of maintain. And now, when the flowers are drying out, and they finish their cycle. Should you be going in and pruning those all off, get them out?
These ones, I like to leave them on the plant because they give you some winter interest as well.
Okay.
So they'll kind of dry on the plant, and then you'll see a lot of places, especially with like the Annabelle hydrangeas, like the big ball hydrangeas, that they'll just kind of leave them on there throughout the winter and then trim them off in the spring.
Okay, I've always wondered about that, so it's good to know because I have a lot of hydrangeas too. So. All right.
I think speaking of winter interest too, it's not necessarily all the flowering things that you keep in mind. Also keep in mind some of the evergreens. So euonymus, this here is called a gold star juniper. And it's got like a really nice goldish tinge to it, so it adds a lot of interest that way. Not only in fall with combination with all your flowers, but also in the winter, because it's really important to maintain something going on in the winter. Because if you have all flowering shrubs and all perennials, then in the wintertime it's very flat.
It really is flat, because eventually some of them, if you're taking them right down to the ground, you have nothing.
Exactly.
So you go from this beautiful, lush, gorgeous garden to. And especially in the winter, when there's snows on the ground, that's one thing. But when it kind of has that moment where things are melting and things just kind of look dirty and muddy, the grass is dormant.
Yeah.
There's not a lot of color. It's without those evergreens that are giving you that life, that color.
Definitely.
It doesn't look so nice sometimes.
Yes, and the evergreens are also great around your home too to hide the foundation.
Protection.
For protection to the foundation, as well as usually before like your brick treatment or your siding starts, you have that concrete block.
Yes.
So
yes, you're right.
The evergreens are great to cover that up all year long.
Right, because they're always going to look the way they look. So
Exactly.
they always just, okay, that's a great idea. And I think that's really important for people who are amateurs and are planting their gardens. And, we were talking to Katie in a past segment about the TLC program here and having, coaches come into your property from TERRA and giving you some guidance, because if you don't know and if you're not really looking at your plant life properly, again, you will end up with kind of a hideous garden in the winter.
Yeah, because a lot of people, they just pick it on, oh, it's flowering, it's beautiful, I want it.
Yeah.
But they don't think of the foundation plantings, which
and again,
are those.
also heights and again textures, as you mentioned, and color. So you really kind of have to overall really take a good look. And of course, you guys, whether you do the TLC program or not, or just come and ask one of you guys at any of our TERRA locations just for some advice before you get something, just to know where it's going to go.
Yes.
And some really pretty. I feel like I'm in a jungle here right now. This is awesome. Very, very good. So of course, we're getting ready for fall here at TERRA, and that'll be a whole other stage. But we have more TERRA at home. Still technically summer. Thank you, Colleen.
Thank
I
you.
really appreciate you coming on the show today. That's it for now. We'll be back with more right after this.
Live color fully at TERRA, where color lives.
AM 900 CHML is giving you more news when you want it most. Non-stop news weekday mornings 5 till 9, weekday afternoons 3 to 6, with weather and traffic on the 9s. Hear about it first from AM 900 CHML, Hamilton's news talk leader.
Heritage Perennials presents TERRA's Perennial Pick of the Week. Little Spire Russian Sage has a compact habit, fragrant gray foliage, and blooms all summer. Extremely drought tolerant and super tough. Heritage Perennials. Look for us in the blue pots.
Welcome back to TERRA at Home, and if you are a new parent at home, you are going to want to watch this segment. I'm here with Janey Reily from We Sleep, and you are going to be a magical savior and have been a magical savior for a lot of parents with newborns and young infants, toddlers that just have really messed up sleeping patterns. And it's sometimes you just feel they're born that way. Sometimes it's been created, but thank you for joining us, because I know I had problems with my little guy when he was first born, so I can totally relate to the frustration that parents feel when you just want that little person to sleep because you know they need sleep. Right?
Yeah, absolutely.
So let's talk about maybe how we first identify some of the signs that you're seeing, and just so parents can relate to what we're about to talk about.
Sure. Some of the things that are most common amongst new parents or parents of infants or toddlers, their child won't sleep for long periods of time, very short naps, up frequently throughout the night, or can't go to sleep without some sort of prop. And when I say prop, I mean soother, bottle, rocking, bouncing, car rides, stroller rides.
Every song you know in the book.
Yeah, they
Start
have
making
this
up
big
songs.
routine. Yeah, so
Yeah.
those are a lot of things that can be very challenging for parents, and they've got this routine down pat, and their kids, what might work one day won't work the next.
That's a problem too, right? You feel like you finally got some kind of routine or something, and then all of a sudden they've grown a little bit older, or something's changed, and you're lost again. Sometimes you're just at a loss, and you're so exhausted as a parent that it literally comes to the point with you they're just like, help me.
Yeah.
I don't even know what to do. Right?
Absolutely.
One thing is you're talking about some of the different ways people, and whether they're good or bad. Sometimes you're literally so exhausted as a parent. That's how you get into the bad habit. I think is you find a way that's a quick fix.
Yeah.
But it's going to create a long-term bad habit.
Yeah, and that's exactly what happens. We start doing things that we think are working or that we read in books, which, there's tons of great resources out there, and they're fabulous. Otherwise, they wouldn't be out there. But the problem is people start trying things, and they try one thing, then they try another thing. Some things work for one day, some things stop working, and then before they know it, they're so overwhelmed, and they're doing something from one book, something from another book, something from what their mom told them, and then they've got this whole thing, and then nothing seems to be working, and then they're at a loss.
They're at a loss, and I think one of the common ones is if people who are nursing or using a bottle, that becomes hey, wait a minute, if I nurse, it puts them to sleep. That seems like okay, that's good. It's it's comforting, everybody's happy, but eventually, that's the only thing that gets him to sleep.
Yes.
And what if he stopped nursing?
Exactly, and that's exactly a big problem where when a child falls asleep dependent on something, so if they fall asleep and they're in a nice milk coma and they're with mom and they're asleep on the boob and everything's wonderful, and then they go into their crib and then they wake up from their first sleep cycle, for instance, which is usually around the 45 minute mark, and then they go, whoa, wait a second, where's that milk and my mom and that cuddle? I can't fall asleep without it. So
you figure if you're talking about that 45-minute sleep cycle, and that keeps happening throughout the night, then you can see why all of a sudden, mom and dad are up, going into the room all night.
Absolutely.
Because they don't know how to get themselves to sleep without that.
Yeah.
So then it comes to the next stage. What kind of advice can we give parents? Some tips, just little ones that maybe people can try right now at home, before really sitting down with you and getting some advice.
Yeah, there's definitely lots of things you can do on your own as a parent. The first place to start would be looking at the sleep environment. So what does the child's sleep space look like? A dark room is best. So blackout blinds are wonderful. Blackout curtains or blackout blinds, making the room nice and dark for naps and nighttime. No distraction. I know that there's wonderful toys out there and great lamps that flash turtles and all sorts of things on the ceiling, but those are stimulating, and when it's time for sleep, we want baby to sleep, not be gooing and guying at the stars. And
that's a good thought, because I think sometimes that confuses parents, because they think, okay, maybe that is something that will distract them until they fall asleep, but sometimes it just keeps them awake.
It's a distraction, or the mobiles with the flashing lights, or
laser
the aquariums. The aquariums on the side, and they're pressing buttons. It becomes playtime for them. So we want to limit the distraction. A nice dark room is really important. What they're sleeping in is also really important. I prefer a crib with no bumper pads, a very clean crib, nothing that's overwhelmed with blankets and that sort of thing. A sleep sack. Sleep sack is wonderful, and I brought one today actually. This is a heavier weight one, but just something like this so they can sleep in. They can stay cozy. I suggest swaddling up to 3 months.
Okay.
For sure.
Yeah. So again, because that's what they're used to, right? They're used to confined space, and that makes them feel safe, right?
That's right. And they have the moral reflex when they're young. So their muscles, their startle muscles.
Oh yeah, they do the.
Yeah, and it wakes them.
I forgot about that.
Exactly. So that's swaddling up to 3 months, and then a sleep sack afterwards is fabulous. And I say that because a lot of babies or parents will just put their babies in the crib with just a sleeper on. And the reality is, they might be comfy, but they might not be. We as adults typically sleep with blankets on us.
Exactly.
So
Yep.
throw a little sleep sack on your little one and kind of guarantee that they have comfort, and they can still move around, they can still have their arms and legs free, but they're guaranteed comfort.
And no risk of getting that blanket on their face or anything like that.
Exactly,
So,
very safe.
okay, and of course you have, you know, a little snuggly, a little
Yeah.
something that makes them feel safe.
Yeah, I always suggest instead of offering a soother or a bottle or something to go to sleep, offer him a little
Yes.
friend or a lovey that he can learn to self-soothe with. So if it's chewing on one of the nubs on the head or snuggling a corner of a little blanket, they have the little blankets with the little animal head on them, something like that,
Right.
just to self-soothe and give them that comfort.
And it also creates, if you I think if you have something like that, you know, it's that lead up to sleep, right? That those patterns that they know this is sleep time. I know what mom or dad are going to do. That's creating that moment
Yes.
to sleep, and so maybe they relate this to sleep.
Absolutely, and on that point as well, a bedtime routine is extremely important. So you're sending those cues, exactly like you're saying. So a bath is very important. Diaper, jammies, massage, into their sleep sack, song, story, and those are all cues to signal the big long sleep's coming up.
Yeah.
So they're very
makes sense.
habitual and routine. So babies love knowing what's happening next.
And then again, that helps, right? It just kind of gives, okay, so it's giving some parents some ideas. Now, the way you structure use, you have a program set up where people can call you or email you and just get some advice directly from you. That's how your company works.
Absolutely, yes. I offer 15-minute complimentary consultations to hear more about the issues parents are having.
Okay.
And then I can offer them some advice. And if they do choose to work with me, then I work with them for 2 weeks and create a custom plan that's specific to their child's needs, and I coach them throughout the whole process.
Wow. So you become, and again, when you're a tired parent, we were talking about how if you're overly tired and you just feel like you become dysfunctional as a parent, sleep is absolutely the most important. So that's where you come in handy to kind of help them, take them back and get them some sleep, and then we can all function and be happy parents.
Yeah.
So they're sleeping when they're toddlers instead of having problems there. And that's a whole other
right.
issue is on sleeping toddler.
That's right, that's right.
Okay, so your website is?
www.wesleep.ca.
Perfect. And again, you can contact Janey and do that 15-minute consultation, and that'll help you a whole lot.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for coming on
Thanks
the show.
for having me.
All right, more Terra at home after this.
Come and explore the new Terra, where color lives.
You've sat under them and built forts in them. You've swung from them and fell out of them. You've even fallen in love under them. Trees have always held a special place in our hearts and memories. A natural beauty, trees will grow with you and your family and bring color and nature into your world. For your assurance of quality, look for trees and shrubs with the Medallion plant tag. Medallion plants, locally grown, the pride of Niagara.
Welcome back to Terra at Home as we get closer to the end of August. We're back here with Chef Rachel and still cooking for summer though. We're still talking summer for a while now because we have to.
Yeah, let's let it go for as long as we can.
Exactly.
Right?
Yes. And it's funny because we obviously still have all through mid-September before it turns into fall, but it's that unofficial Labor Day weekend that's so ever around the bend. It just makes us feel like it's almost over. So we're sticking with summer today.
Okay.
What are you making?
Yeah, so this is a really fun dish that I like to eat. Normally just eat it as a snack, snack or a light dinner, an appetizer if you're entertaining friends. We're using some sausage here, so it's just going to be some sauteed sausage. I'll put some fresh herbs in there and some onions. Serve it with a nice focaccia.
Nice. Sounds
bread.
great.
It's a really nice snack. Very summery, I think.
Okay. I think so too.
Yeah,
Sausage reminds me of summer too. It's one of those grilling meats, and
Yes.
obviously you can grill it, do it in the pan.
Yeah, I was gonna say it would be great on the barbecue as well if you want to spend some time outside. I even take a pan outside on my barbecue too. So whatever you're gonna do, put these on the grill, your onion and your leeks in the pan, and you got a nice easy dinner. So I'm going to heat this pan up to high, and what I'm going to do is start sauteing these sausages. These are just a mild Italian sausage. Sometimes I like to use the spicy sausage, but in this case I just got a couple chili flakes to add a little zing to it.
Okay.
And you can find all different types of sausages, like you know, garlic sausages, honey.
Oh, I know there's so
Asiago
many.
cheese. Yeah, there's
ones
lots
with
of
peach and cilantro and feta and
so many good options. Or if you make your own sausages, that's always fun to do for your guests. So, anyways, I'm going to start sautéing these. We can poke a few holes in them. Basically, I just want to get these cooking so they're easy to work with. I'm eventually going to cut them up. But if I get them sauteing first, then they get to a stage where I can cut it easily.
Where you can cut them and they're not going to fall apart in the pan, right?
Exactly. So we don't necessarily need to cook them all the way through right now.
Okay.
Just a couple minutes on each side, get them nice and crisp. We'll take them out, we'll cut them up, and we'll move on. So I'll pass you that over and we'll clean that after. So we'll keep those going. Let me put a little bit more oil in there just to make sure they don't
Especially
burn
if you're
too
kind
much.
of trying to brown them a little bit, right? So.
Okay, so we'll give those a couple minutes. In the meantime, I'm just going to tell you about the other ingredients that we're using. So I'm going to start off with a bit of garlic that we have here, and then we're using leeks. So I've already cut some, but basically, you know, leeks come in a big round stalk like this, with big green pieces on the end. So you want to cut off all those green pieces, and you really only want to use the white and the light green piece.
It's amazing how little you're left with once you do all of the paring down, right?
Yes.
But the other part just doesn't taste good. It's coarse and chewy and
right? not really that edible. So you want to get rid of all that, and then you're left with a little bit. So I normally cut this in half, and you want to wash this out very good because leeks get quite dirty. So in this case, all I've done was cut into really thin rounds, like that. But you can also julienne them the other way and have take some apart, and you can have nice long strips. So whatever you prefer for your presentation wise, but a couple different ways to cut those leeks. Let's see if we can turn these over now. And then just julienne onion as well. It's the same thing, red onion.
This is interesting about this recipe is there are very few ingredients, right? But it's just like, which is great. It's easy, makes it easy to do, and basic and simple, but just a good combination of flavors.
Yeah, very flavorful. So the onion, again, just a really thin slice. We'll julienne that up because even though we are going to cook these, we don't want, you know, we don't want it to be too coarse. Okay. And then we'll add in the red pepper flakes and then some fresh thyme. Now you can use any kind of herb that you have laying around, but I think the thyme goes really well with these other ingredients. So I think we're probably just about ready to take these out. Now what I'm going to do is we're going to serve it on a bed of greens later. So we can plate them on a plate like that after.
Yeah, it's amazing how in the summertime, in the heat, especially the heat of August and September even, it gets very, very hot. You just want to simplify your meals. You want them lighter. You're not eating, you know, the big giant bowls of pasta and all those hearty meals. So it's nice again to have, you know, a meat on the side with some greens and, as you say, just a little bit of the bread focaccia. That's just a really nice lighter meal.
Yeah. The focaccia is really nice done on the barbecue too. So
this is so good. This focaccia, I love it. It's rosemary and
yeah, a little bit of olive oil or butter, and just grill it. Makes for a really nice presentation, and it's nice and crunchy and crispy.
This is the Ace focaccia, right?
Yeah.
Because the Ace bread, that one's just a good one. That's just a good one to use for something like this because of all the flavors in it. So.
Yeah, and you can get a couple different kinds too. I think they make a cranberry one as well, which is really good.
That's good for brie grilled cheese. That's another show.
That sounds very good. So put the garlic in there. We'll go quick with this because we don't want the garlic to burn and the pan's still hot from the sausages. So we add in the onions and the leeks at this time. And then we can add in the pepper flakes, deglaze with a little bit of wine if you want, red or white, both work.
That'll give us a little more flavor.
Both work well. Yeah, if you use the red, then it's gonna change the color a bit.
Right.
But it still tastes really good. So then we can add the pepper flakes and the salt and pepper. Now once this is sauteed down for a couple minutes, we'll add the sausage back in. And finish.
And then again, more flavor from that.
Yeah, and so we'll finish cooking the sausage in this pan, and basically it'll be ready to serve.
Okay. Sounds really good.
So turn this back up to high, and then we can start slicing this. So yeah, this just makes it a little easier to slice, and it won't.
Okay, because that's the thing, right? If you had to cut it before, it would have just slipped all out of the casing, and it just would have been crumbled sausage, basically, right? So at least you've got that intact.
Yeah, and then this way you can see that it's cooked all the way through as well, because sometimes it might be hard to tell with the sausages. But normally they take about, I'd say 15 to 20 minutes or so to cook all the way through.
Okay, well, so let's do that. We'll put that in the pan, we'll cook that up, and then we'll come back and add the greens and prepare it all and show you what the final product looks like.
Yes.
I'm looking forward to seeing that. I don't think I've had anything quite like this before, so we'll be right back after this.
Live color fully at TERRA, where color lives.
You've sat under them and built forts in them. You've swung from them and fell out of them. You've even fallen in love under them. Trees have always held a special place in our hearts and memories. A natural beauty, trees will grow with you and your family and bring color and nature into your world. For your assurance of quality, look for trees and shrubs with the Medallion plant tag. Medallion plants, locally grown, the pride of Niagara.
AM 900 CHML is giving you more news when you want it most. Non-stop news weekday mornings 5 till 9, weekday afternoons 3 to 6, with weather and traffic on the 9s. Hear about it first from AM 900 CHML, Hamilton's news talk leader.
Welcome back to TERRA at Home, back with Chef Rachel, and finishing up this really great menu idea. I'm going to have to try this because this is, again, the combination of flavors. You can smell the white wine that you added to it in the cooking process.
Yeah, I did.
Just,
yeah. Oh. After sauteing the vegetables, or I should say onions, leeks and red onion, yeah, you can just throw a little bit of, like I said, red or white. I put some white in. Then we chopped up finished chopping up the sausages, put that back in till they were done cooking, and everything's ready to go. Now at this time, I'll add in my fresh thyme.
Okay, and that's important to leave the herbs to the end, right? So that you're not kind of overcooking them and they still have that freshness to them, right?
And it is okay to cook them a little bit.
Yeah.
So if I still put them in while this was still on the heat, that would be fine. But yeah, you just don't want to add them too early because you'll cook out all the good stuff. So I have some focaccia here that I just cut into triangles, and I'm just gonna.
Oh no, you're not.
Pan fry it a bit.
That just makes it extra
it
good.
Crispy and crunchy. So we'll just throw that in some oil for a minute or two. Like I said, you can do it on the barbecue as well, which would be nice. So we'll just get that browned up, and we can plate this. So arugula is one of my favorite things. I tend to use it all the time.
Yep.
But you can't go wrong. So that makes a little appetizer more of a light
it's
meal.
Healthy too, right? It's a dark green, so it's just and has a great peppery flavor to it.
So then you can just spoon this on top.
While you're doing that, reminder, of course, you can go onto our website, terragreenhouses.com, anytime to find Rachel's recipes. And again, they're all there from all the years that we've been doing the show, so it gives you an opportunity to go back and find ones that are appropriate for the season and for local foods as well. And again, this is just another great recipe as we still hold on to the days of summer. So
yes.
Perfect. And so once that's kind of grilled and crispy, pair it all up, and you've got, again, as you say, a nice light dish. You can make it appetizer size, and you're good to go. Love it. All right, that's it for today's show. Thanks so much, Chef Rachel. I can't wait to try this.
Thank you.
And have yourself a good August 25th. That's it for now.